in a world filled with chaos, there once walked a man whose heart was filled with mercy. He had every reason to give up, but he never did. He had every reason to complain, but his lips were filled with praise. This is the story of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not just a prophet, but a man who carried the weight of the world with the patience of a mountain. His life was not one of luxury or ease. He did not sit on a throne. He did not inherit gold or command armies with force. He led with compassion. He endured with sabr. He was born in the blessed city of Makkah in the year of the elephant, a year remembered in history. His father Abdullah passed away before he was even born, and so the world welcomed an orphan. As a child, he knew loss before he knew comfort. At the age of 6, he lost his beloved mother Amina. Then at 8, his grandfather Abdul Muttalib, who had cared for him, also died. So young, so alone in the eyes of the world, but never abandoned by Allah. From a very young age, the Prophet ﷺ showed noble character. He was honest, soft-spoken, and deeply thoughtful. The people of Makkah would call him Al-Amin, the trustworthy. Even his enemies never accused him of lying. He never raised his voice in the streets. He never spoke harshly. He would feed the poor, care for the orphans, and stand up for truth, even before prophethood. As a young man, he worked as a shepherd, caring for sheep in the hot deserts of Arabia. Later, he became a fard, which was trader, honest in his dealings, never cheating anyone. It was his truthfulness and humility that caught the attention of Khadija radiallahu anha, a noble woman, a widow, a businesswoman who would later become his beloved wife. Their marriage was not one of luxury, but of love, trust, and faith. She stood by him through everything. She would be the first to believe in him and one of the greatest sources of strength during his hardest years. But all of that was still to come, because soon the world would change. A man who had quietly lived among his people would soon be chosen to guide all of mankind. And that was when the trials would begin. He was now 40 years old. A quiet man, a reflective soul who often withdrew from the noise of Makkah to meditate in the cave of Hira. He would sit alone, looking out at the stars, thinking about the suffering around him, the idol worship, the injustice, the forgotten orphans, and he would pray in silence, searching for the truth. Then, one night, the silence was broken. A voice called out to him, a voice unlike any other. It was the voice of Jibreel alayhi salam, the mighty angel. And with that voice came the first words of the Quran, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaka. Read in the name of your Lord who created. The words shook him. His heart raced. He had never experienced anything like this before. He rushed home to Khadija radiallahu anha trembling. He said to her, cover me, cover me. And she held him with love and strength and said, by Allah, He will never disgrace you. You help the poor, you feed the needy, you speak the truth. Allah will never abandon you. It was Khadija who took him to Warada ibn Nawfal, a wise Christian scholar, who confirmed that this was the same angel who came to Musa alayhi salam, and he warned, your people will turn against you, they will harm you. The mission had begun. The world would never be the same again. At first, the message was private. Only close friends and family. Khadija, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Zayd ibn Haritha, Abu Bakr, radiyallahu anhum, they believed. But when the command came to preach publicly, the fire of opposition was lit. The same people who once admired him as Al-Amin now turned against him. They mocked him. They said he was a madman, a poet, a magician. But he never responded with anger. He never cursed them back. Instead, he prayed for their guidance. He would walk in the streets of Makkah and call out, "O people, say La ilaha illallah and you will succeed." And they would laugh at him. They would throw dust on him, place thorns in his path, and even dump camel intestines on his back while he was in sujood. One day, his daughter Fatima radiallahu anha saw him in this state, and she cried as she cleaned him. But he only wiped the dust off his blessed face and said, "Oh Allah, forgive my people, for they do not know." This was the Prophet ﷺ, a man insulted in public but still praying for the same people in private, a man whose heart was bigger than the hatred thrown at him day after day. The pain increased, and yet he never stopped preaching, he never stopped loving, he never stopped being patient, because he knew this wasn't about him, it was about the message, it was about the message, it was about the message. But he only wiped the dust off his blessed face and said, "O Allah, forgive my people, for they do not know." This was the Prophet ﷺ, a man insulted in public, but still praying for the same people in private, a man whose heart was bigger than the hatred thrown at him. Day after day, the pain increased, and yet he never stopped preaching, he never stopped loving, he never stopped being patient, because he knew this wasn't about him. It was about the message, it was about the message, it was about the message, it was about the message. When the pain in Makkah became unbearable, when his people rejected him again and again, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ turned his gaze toward a nearby city, Taif. He did not go to seek power, he did not go to conquer, he went with hope that maybe someone, somewhere would listen. He walked nearly 60 miles on foot, no army, no protection, only Zayd ibn Haritha radiyallahu anhu at his side and faith in his heart. When he arrived in Taif, he approached the leaders of the city, but instead of listening, they mocked him. They didn't just reject his message, they ordered the street boys, the foolish ones, to follow him, to scream at him, to throw rocks at him, stone after stone, until his sandals filled with blood, his noble body wounded, his heart broken. He was forced to flee the city, step by step, bleeding, tired, alone. Zayd tried to protect him, but he too was struck. They ran to the outskirts of Taif, where the Prophet ﷺ found shelter in a garden, there under a tree, with blood still dripping from his feet. He looked up to the sky and he didn't curse, he didn't ask for revenge, he didn't cry out, "Why me?" He raised his hands and made a dua that would shake the heavens. "O Allah, I complain to you of my weakness, of my lack of resources, and of how people have humiliated me. O most merciful, you are the Lord of the weak. If you are not angry with me, then I do not mind."
Subhanallah.
Imagine that. He had just been humiliated, stoned and driven out. Yet his only concern was whether Allah was pleased with him. At that moment, the skies above began to move. The angel Jibreel alayhi salam came down, and with him was the angel of the mountains. He said, "O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you wish, I will crush the city of Taif between the mountains." But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "No, not revenge, not destruction." Instead he said, "I hope that Allah